what do you two mean to each other? That was beautiful.
He's like my dad. Yeah, I'm so connected to him for life. We're so lucky to have each other.
Something very strange has been happening online around Millie Bobby Brown and David Harbour. For weeks, the internet has been convinced that Millie filed a detailed complaint accusing David of bullying her on the set of Stranger Things. The story spread so fast that people started rethinking everything they thought they knew about the two of them. It felt like the internet had already decided the narrative until Millie finally spoke. And what she said didn't just shift the story, it turned it completely upside down. But the timing was strange, and the way everything unfolded left a lot of people wondering whether this was just a rumor that spiraled out of control, or if there's something deeper happening under the surface that we're not seeing. Let's get into it. So, a few weeks back, a story surfaced claiming Millie Bobby Brown had filed a formal, multi-page complaint accusing David Harbour of bullying and harassing her on set. And this wasn't just your typical vague internet rumor. The report described it as a serious workplace issue, nothing physical, but intense enough that Netflix allegedly launched a month-long internal investigation and required Millie to have a representative present during filming. That detail alone set off alarm bells for fans. If a studio truly demands a rep on set, it usually implies there was enough concern to justify it. And the fact that these claims came right in the middle of promo preparation for the final season made everything feel even more dramatic. People immediately started pulling up old interviews. Some were analyzing David's protective comments from years ago. Others were looking at Millie's body language from press tours. There were TikTok breakdowns, full Reddit threads, and fan theories trying to map out every supposedly tense interaction the two ever had on camera. And honestly, the reaction was intense because it didn't match what everyone thought they knew. David has always positioned himself as a protective, father-like figure to Millie. He talked often about watching her grow up, about worrying for her, about seeing her as family. Their on-screen relationship as Hopper and Eleven already had emotional weight, but fans believed that same energy existed off-screen too. So when these allegations came out, it felt like the complete opposite of the narrative the public had been fed for nearly a decade. How could someone who spoke so lovingly about his young co-star be the same person accused of bullying behavior? And because the report was so detailed, people didn't just brush it off. They latched onto it, built theories around it, and treated it like it was already confirmed. It became the story of the week, the trending topic that everyone felt compelled to weigh in on. It was one of those situations where the rumor grows so quickly that it almost stops being a rumor and becomes its own ecosystem. But the strangest part is that all of this was happening at a moment when the Stranger Things cast should have been celebrating their final season. Instead of excitement, the conversation became filled with suspicion, stress, and negativity. It set the perfect stage for a massive public meltdown. But then something happened that nobody was prepared for. Before this rumor, David and Millie's relationship had always been painted in such a specific way. David was the loving, protective father figure. Millie was the young breakout star who looked up to him. They shared emotional scenes on camera, and fans believed those bonds carried over into real life. David talked openly in interviews about feeling deep, fatherly affection toward Millie. He talked about meeting her before she was famous and watching her transform into this powerhouse actress. Their dynamic was always presented as wholesome, rooted in mutual respect and genuine care. Even the show's creators talked about their chemistry and how natural their scenes together felt. So when the allegations circulated, it didn't just feel surprising, it felt contradictory. It challenged everything people assumed about their dynamic. And that's why the internet reacted the way it did. Fans weren't just hearing a rumor, they were having their long-held perceptions challenged in real time. It created a perfect storm where confusion turned into speculation, and speculation turned into full-blown theories. People started saying things like, maybe their bond was exaggerated, or maybe the pressure of filming so many seasons changed things, or maybe Millie grew up and the dynamic shifted in a way David wasn't prepared for. And while none of these ideas were rooted in confirmed facts, they formed the basis for countless threads and videos trying to make sense of this new narrative. But then everything took a dramatic turn. Because when the cast appeared at the premiere event, the energy between Millie and David was nothing like what people expected. When Millie Bobby Brown walked onto the red carpet for the Stranger Things premiere, all eyes were on her. People were watching for distance, awkwardness, anything that might hint at tension, but instead she showed up beside David Harbour, smiling, talking, and interacting like absolutely nothing was wrong. There were photos of them hugging, laughing, standing close together, and just fully engaging like normal coworkers who genuinely enjoy each other's company. Fans were confused because it was the opposite of what you'd expect from two people supposedly caught in a workplace conflict. Then came the interview that completely blew the conversation apart. A reporter asked Millie about the relationship she's formed on the show, and she didn't hold back. She described her bond with David as really special, said their dynamic was father-daughter, and sounded genuinely excited for fans to see their final scenes together. There was no stiffness, no carefully worded PR answer, no attempt to sidestep the subject. She spoke openly, warmly, and without hesitation. The way she talked about him didn't match the narrative that had taken over social media, and it made everyone stop and question everything they had been assuming for days. David didn't look uncomfortable either. His body language was open and relaxed, and he interacted with Millie so naturally that people couldn't tell whether the rumors were false or whether the two of them had settled things privately and moved forward. Some people said, "See, the rumor was never true." Others claimed, "This is PR, they're protecting the show." And others suggested that maybe the truth lies somewhere in the middle, and we're only seeing the version they're comfortable showing the public. The most interesting part of all this is how quickly the rumor exploded. Normally, a story like this would need time to brew. Someone posts something, people react, more context comes out. But in this case, it was immediate. The moment the report dropped, social media had already decided what happened. And part of that is because of the timing. People were already emotional about the final season of Stranger Things and the cast moving on with their lives. There was also a lot of attention on Millie because of her marriage, her pregnancy, and the massive changes in her personal life. Since she grew up on this set, fans felt strangely protective of her, even though she's now an adult. Combine that with the fact that David Harbour was already in the headlines due to his separation from Lily Allen and her very personal, very emotional breakup album, and suddenly people were primed to assume the worst of him. Because right when the Millie rumor hit, the internet was resurfacing Lily's comments, her lyrics, and her interviews where she implied emotional turmoil, infidelity hints, and a whole lot of relationship messiness. And this is exactly where the two stories collided in a way that created a perfect storm. People started asking, is this a pattern? Is there something about David we didn't know before? Is this why Lily's album sounded the way it did? Even though Lily never mentioned David by name, the timing was close enough for the internet to fill in the blanks. Suddenly, the story about Millie wasn't just about Millie. It became part of a narrative people were already building. But then Millie's red carpet comments threw all of that into question again. Lily Allen releasing an album full of emotional reflections about a partner who left her feeling insecure, unsupported, and blindsided added an entirely new angle to the public conversation. She didn't explicitly say it was about David, but the implications were obvious enough that fans didn't hesitate to start drawing connections. And once you have two stories floating around, one about allegations on set and one about a messy marriage falling apart, it becomes very easy for people to try to merge them together into one single narrative. Fans started re-examining David's personality. Old interviews were pulled up. Clips of him making jokes about relationships were suddenly labeled as red flags. Even harmless moments were reframed as proof of something darker. It didn't matter that none of this was confirmed. The internet doesn't wait for confirmation. Once an idea starts gaining traction, people run with it. And within days, David Harbour's public persona shifted from lovable Hollywood dad figure to complicated man with messy rumors swirling around him. So, by the time the Millie allegations surfaced, the public was already halfway convinced they made sense. It felt like puzzle pieces snapping into place, even though none of those pieces actually belonged to the same puzzle. This is where things get complicated, because Millie's positive comments at the premiere didn't just soften the narrative, they challenged the entire storyline people thought they had figured out. Right now, we're left with two very different stories sitting side by side. Story 1, a detailed report claims Millie filed pages of concerns about David's behavior. An internal investigation was supposedly conducted. People believed this version because it lined up with the emotional mess happening in David's personal life. Story 2, Millie praises David publicly. She calls him special, says their bond is father-daughter, and appears totally comfortable with him at the premiere. David looks comfortable with her. No tension, no distance, no shade. So what actually happened? The truth is, we may never know. And not because anyone's lying, but because long-term working relationships are complicated in ways the public rarely sees. Sets are chaotic. Work stress gets mixed with personal stress. Creative disagreements happen. People grow and change. Dynamics shift. And sometimes things get worked out privately in ways that don't require public statements. It's possible the rumor was inaccurate. It's possible the complaint existed, but the situation was resolved. It's possible there were misunderstandings that spiraled. And yes, it's also possible the cast is choosing unity because the final season is enormous. The stakes are high, and nobody wants the show overshadowed by controversy. Netflix hasn't commented, and honestly, they probably won't. When a franchise this huge is nearing its finale, the last thing they want is messy press. So all we're left with is what we can actually see. Millie's words were warm, David didn't act defensive, and the energy between them on the carpet didn't look fake or strained. But does that mean the original report was completely made up? Or does it mean the situation is simply more complicated than anyone online realizes? By now, this story has twisted so many times that it's easy to forget how it even started. First, a shocking allegation that challenged everything people thought they knew about Millie and David. Then, a red carpet moment that completely contradicted the rumor, followed by a wave of speculation linking David's personal life to the on-screen drama. And on top of that, Millie herself openly praising him just as the internet decided something sinister must be happening. So, what do we do with all of that? The truth is, this story exposes how fast assumptions can crystallize online and how quickly a narrative can collapse when the people involved speak for themselves. It also shows how much we, as viewers, rely on curated moments to understand relationships we actually know nothing about. Some people will say Millie was genuine, some will say it was PR, some will believe the original report, some will believe none of it. Whatever the truth is, this controversy has already changed the way some fans view the show, the cast, and the dynamics behind the scenes. It's also a reminder of how quickly a rumor can explode and how fast it can unravel. But as always, I want to know what you think. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.